Hello everybody. Welcome to our next session of a Simple Marketing Approach to Earning $1 Million. And welcome to 2015. So we're going to kick things off. Hopefully you've had a good break. I think I've spoken probably to most of you on the call today. It's a bright and sunny day out there, but colder than you know what. And hopefully this will warm your hearts as far as building your business and so on. So let's kick things off. I'm just going to take it back to full screen. Now I will have to mention that the chat box doesn't seem to be working for me today. I'm not sure why. So if you're going to communicate with me, I'm going to request that you send me a text. It's probably the easiest way. Just to remind everybody, 416-704-5968 is my text number. Okay, so let's kick things off. So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about step 2 of the program, which is prospecting with the Home Life 30th Anniversary Sweepstakes ticket. A very powerful tool that is designed to capture leads for you. And we'll talk about that shortly. And then we're going to end up move on to 2015 business planning. So I've got some ideas to share with you here. And I will also send to you at the end of this, send to everybody, I found a Home Life business plan. So I'm going to send that off to everybody as well, but I'm going to use a different one today in our session. So as I mentioned, today's session is prospecting with Home Life's 30th Anniversary Sweepstakes. So as you can see there, that's the image. Very nice and very attractive. In order to order these, you need to go through HighPrint, which is located at highprintco.com. If you go through highprintco.com, you will have to pay in order to customize the 2 areas on the sweepstakes card, the brought to you by box, and well, there's 2 of them. One's for your photograph and your name, and one's for your name as well. So rather than do that, and you can if you want, but I'd recommend that you go to homelifeportal.com, where they will fill in those 2 areas for you at no extra charge. Now, here's the order form that's located on the website there on homelifeportal.com. As you can see, these are 8.5 by 11 in size. They have the tearaway bottom portion, which is the information, and you can buy 1,000 of those customized for $166.99. So that's up to you as to the numbers you want to purchase. It obviously varies, as you can see from the screen now. $40.87 if you're getting just 100. $69.48 for 250, $11.15.67 for 500. And then you can really see the difference. You know, an extra 250 it takes you to 162, and then that next 250 is like literally another $4.50 to get you to the 166.99. So that's obviously one of the better price points for you. And if you have a larger area than that, obviously that's available as well. But I think 1,000 was probably going to be sufficient for all of you here. So, you know, start with that and go from there. Now the actual form when you're in the Home Life portal, when it comes time to customize it, now I know you can't really read the printing on that all that well, but it's very attractive. Again, it has the perforated portion on the bottom, and as you can see here, the brought to you by, so you put your photograph and your name in the top box there, and you can put the brokerage name and agent's name in the bottom box. And again, if you go through homelifeportal.com, that's at no extra charge, so obviously it makes sense to go there. Now the bottom portion of that form is the power to this. I mean, well, the power to it is the opportunity to win $10,000 at no cost or obligation. That's the power of this. And who wouldn't provide you with the correct contact information so that they have a chance to win $10,000? I don't know if I've shared this with you guys or not, but several years ago I was manager of one of the Home Life Zimmerman offices down on the Danforth. And during my time there as their manager, one of our customers won the $10,000, which is a nice young lady, which she then used to purchase a home through us. So it was a good deal. But it's also a testament to the fact that this does work. People do win. And it does collect many, many people for your database. So again, I'm going to assume you probably don't have one in front of you and probably can't read the screen. So I'm just going to go over it very briefly here. The bottom portion has the green tick mark. It says, yes, please enter me into the Home Life Sweepstakes. We'd like to get to know you. So do you own, rent your home? And how long have you resided in your home? How many years? Are you thinking about buying, selling, mortgage financing, relocation and moving services, insurance advice, a career in real estate? And would you like a free market evaluation, yes or no? And then just the basic contact information, name, address, city, province, postal code, etc., etc. So again, it's a rather powerful tool because who's going to lie? It's very clear that there's no obligation. You can say that to them as well. They can you can either pick the ballot back up again, the entry form back up again, or they can mail it off, as the front of the perforation shows, to a post office box in St. John, New Brunswick. But they will have to, of course, put postage on it as well. So they may be more interested, or the cost of postage isn't that much for a chance to win $10,000, but they may want to fill it out with you and have you mail it in on their behalf. That's obviously up to them and to you. So for step 2 of the program, of the simple marketing approach to earning $1 million, I need everybody to order these if you don't already have them, and confirm to me the number that you either ordered or have on hand. And you can do that either through the email at homelifeuni@gmail.com, which will go into your own personal folder that I have set up for everybody, so I can monitor that quickly. Or if you like, you can also just text me at 416-704-5968. And same thing if you have any questions about numbers or strategy or whatever. So I don't know that I need to give you a script on this. I mean, basically it's just, would you like to enter a chance to win $10,000 in our sweepstakes? All you have to do is fill in the ballot information at the bottom of this form. There is no cost or obligation. So I think that's pretty straightforward. And again, a simple sell. The idea then is to capture that information. If it gets mailed direct to St. John's, then they'll send them back to you so you can enter them into your database. Or if you collect them, you can just enter them in for yourself in your own database and then send them off to St. John. Okay. So let's see, again, if you have any questions, just reach out to me and contact me. So let's move along here. So what I'd like to talk about, because it's the time of year to do this, it's 2015 business planning. Now, over the years, I have conducted, probably hundreds of business planning seminars. And when they're live in class, I always ask people for a show of hands. I say, how many people in the room know how much money you made last year? And virtually everybody puts their hand up. I then ask them, at what point, I ask them, do they know the breakdown between listings and sales? And maybe 2/3 of them put up their hands. Then I ask them, do you know the source of your business? Like, if you got X number, 50% of your business from listings, do you know where that 50% came from? And that's when I lose virtually everybody. There's some people that are good at planning and know. So in order to be successful, you need to track your results. You need to ask people why they contacted you. Or you need to record, if you know why, in a database. You need to know. So next year when you try and duplicate your year and build on it, you need to know that your sweepstakes tickets generated you X number of leads, which generated you X number of listings and sales. So that and if you've got another activity that generated you absolutely nothing, then you need to reconsider whether or not that makes sense for you to do again. or if you need to tweak it somehow. So that's very important as far as beginning to plan. But let's move along with today's presentation here. So what is business planning? Well, it's for small businesses of any kind, which you would be included in that. Planning is the creation and implementation of a set of specific goals within a predetermined time frame. Now, the title of our program, A Simple Marketing Approach to Earning $1 Million, doesn't have a time frame on it. Obviously, I would love to see you get there faster, sooner rather than later, but it's not really a specific goal because it doesn't have a time frame attached to it. So when you build out your plan, starting with how much you want to make and then where the source of income is going to come from, then it becomes a systematic method of action that takes you from where you are to where you want to be. It's more or less a roadmap to your success. You know, imagine trying to get to Victoria, which I'd love to today. It's probably warm there. But imagine trying to get there only knowing that it's west and not having a roadmap. I mean, if you kept heading into the setting sun, you're going to get there eventually, but you know it's going to take a lot longer than it should have if you'd had a very detailed map showing the way to get there. So that's basically what a business plan is. Now, I'd like to just quote one of my favorite authors, old-time author, but still very valid today, and that's, of course, Napoleon Hill. Now, in his amazing book, Think and Grow Rich, there's a quote that I love from that. It's, "I need to wait just a bit and work to learn. Before I get going too fast, I need to take a step back and gain some understanding." So this again speaks to what I was saying earlier about understanding what businesses come your way in the past, what worked, what didn't work. There was a gentleman that came up to me at a break at one of my seminars, and he explained to me that he needed some help, that he had been doing cold calls every day for a long period of time. In fact, he claimed to have made 10,000 cold calls and had yet to receive a single listing appointment. So if he'd taken a step back and really thought about what he was doing and the results he was getting from it, he would have determined that cold calling was just not for him. In fact, he had a very thick accent and he was difficult to understand even in person. But on the phone, I'm sure it would have been that much worse unless he was speaking in his native tongue, which memory serves me would be Italian. But anyway, you need to take a step back and think about it. What am I doing? Did I get any result from it? If not, why not? And if so, or if not, is there any reason to keep doing it? And if so, how can I make it better? So to be truly successful in real estate, it requires you to have that knowledge and to put together some superior organization. By having developed action steps, you know that 9 o'clock Monday morning, you know what your action step is. Most real estate agents are like balloons, and I love doing this live in class because I would blow up a balloon, big yellow balloon with a happy face on it, and then just let it go. And it would, shoot around the room and everybody'd laugh. But I said, that's the average agent, just going wherever the wind takes them. You need to have a plan. You need to have organization so you know what to do. And you have the pieces in place so that you can do it. So you need to have, it'll bring you superior organization. You need to think about effective prospecting methods so that you aren't wasting your time. Like I mentioned, cold calling as just a method of developing business, it's become less and less effective because less and less people are answering the phone. It's harder to get them on the phone to have that conversation. That's not to say I don't say don't do it. It depends on your market area. It depends the purpose. If it's not a cold call, which is just out of the blue, isn't as effective as a warm call where you're following up on something. You've delivered your free long-distance calling cards, or you've delivered your free sweepstakes tickets, and you are following up to see if they got it and see if they filled it in and so on. So again, to be truly successful, you need to have that effective or workable business plan. Having said that, there's two ends of this spectrum. There's the people that really don't have a clue and just go wherever the wind takes them, And then there's the others that have a tendency to make their business plan overly complicated and somewhat overwhelming. It has to be, and we'll get to this when we talk about SMART goals, it has to be attainable. If you say, I'm going to do 1,000 door knocks in January, it's not going to take long. You break that down into what that is per day, and you will realize in 2 or 3 days you're already behind. You're not going to hit your goal. So it has to be attainable. Otherwise, it just becomes overwhelming, and you stop trying because you realized it's no longer achievable. So I'm going to make some recommendations for you to create success in 2015. So I'm going to recommend that you start with only 3 priorities. Really focus on the 3 priorities. You decide what they are. I can't tell you what to do because it depends on your own individual strengths. You need to understand what those are, and you need to pare it down to just 3. Now, when I say that, as a new agent, I've always recommended you don't really know what your strengths are yet, so maybe you need to try everything. And I've had agents say to me, well, how do I know what my strengths are? I respond by saying, well, what do you like doing and what do you hate doing? What you like doing, that's a strength. What you hate doing will always be a weakness because you may train yourself to be better at it, but because you don't like doing it, you're never going to be anything but mediocre at it. So find 3 things that you like doing and make them a priority for you. Then you need to decide on your weekly measure of success. What's a success for you this week? I recommend you start with a number of listing appointments as your specific goal. So if you want to go on, 2 listing appointments this week, if that's your goal, and you go on 2 this week, then you had your measure of success. By taking the action steps, those 2 listing appointments, hopefully one of them will convert into an actual listing, and that starts the process as far as being really successful. But it comes down to it's about knowing your measure of success in the action steps each week, or for that matter, each day. What's your single daily action? What's the most important thing you can do today? Not busy work, not planning work. What can you do that puts you in front of somebody that might be thinking about buying or selling real estate? And if you can get that focus that today I need to do this, I need to have an action step of putting myself in front of somebody today. How am I going to do that? And I'm going to start my day by doing that, not with any other activity whatsoever. Okay? So the 10 best ways to get a jump start on your 2015 is, as we're sort of building on what we're talking about here, is schedule time to plan before. Now I've got February. I'm going to recommend that you do this before the end of January, because when you get into February, the market typically takes off. And again, just to sort of restate this, determine what success means to you. It doesn't necessarily mean more money. It could be making the same money, but only working 4 to 5 hours a day because you want to spend more quality time with your family. Determine what success means to you. Now, assuming you had a 2014, then gather up your past year's numbers, whatever you can dig up, and so you have a clearer understanding then of your business. And that's, again, key. You really need to understand what your business generated to you last year. Where do those listings come from? How much success did you have with open houses? Just think about it. Try and gather whatever information you can and recap it so that you can use it going forward. So once you've done that, you then have research, and you can re-strategize your marketing budget as well. You're going to be ordering the $10,000 sweepstakes at $166. That's not overwhelming as far as a budgetary item, but nonetheless, the time of year, just being after the holiday season, funds might be a little tight for some of you, but by understanding that this is the time of year that you do that, then you budgeted for it, you strategized your budget for it. The key to real estate, the key to success in real estate is simply the more people you talk to, the more money you make. So you need to have a plan to expand your sphere of influence, to build your database with your sphere of influence. There was a gentleman I knew years ago, and I do mean years ago, I can't even think how many years back, probably 20, 25 years ago, in the small town of Lindsay, Ontario. And he had a daily goal He'd put 17 business cards in his breast pocket of his shirt, and he'd go out there, and his goal was simply to hand out those 17 cards and capture 17 names. Now remember, we're talking 20 years ago. That was his goal, and he made sure that he accomplished it. And he did whatever he had to, but 9 o'clock in the morning when he started work, that was his focus. I got to exchange 17 cards for 17 names and contact information. And sometimes that meant running down to the Tim Hortons and buying coffees for people that he hadn't met yet, whatever. But the thing is, at the end of his first full year, 20 years ago, he made $150,000 in Lindsay, Ontario, where the market's small and the prices are less than in the major markets like Toronto. It's a simple thing, but because he was focused on it, he didn't let a single day pass without ensuring 17 cards out, 17 names captured. So that's, again, now when I'm talking focus, that's what I'm talking about. So picking 3 simple things, but doing it on a consistent basis. Now, as part of your plan, you can't work 24/7, so you do need to include vacation days and some days for some kind of continuing education. Now, in Ontario, there isn't the requirement other than the annual RICO update. There's no requirement for continuing education. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't take education, so you get better at marketing, for instance. Realtors as a group are not as skilled or knowledgeable in marketing as they could be. So you need to update your knowledge and your skill base. And when you do that, you can take that to your clients and say, this is part of what I bring to the table. Find a mentor or a coach. Well, luckily, I'm that for you. And just remind everybody, please take advantage of that. If you have a question, a challenge whatsoever, text me with the problem. Set up a time to talk with me on the phone if you need to. But don't hesitate. Just reach out. That's what I'm here for. And now that we're in 2015 and we've all had our break, it's really time to ratchet things up and get moving forward. Another thing that in this day and age, especially, not so much when I started all those years ago, but in this day and age, you want to do a technology audit. What do you have that you're using that's working? What do you need that will streamline the processes for you? And we can talk about that in future coaching and training sessions. And this last, number 10, belongs on every list. It's something that we all really need to focus on. We tend not to. We tend to focus on the day-to-day activities and making money. But when you do make money, if you truly want to be successful in real estate, you need to invest in real estate. You need to buy real estate, whether that's, single-family units or multiple family rental units. You need to buy real estate. Even if it's only your own personal home, you need to invest in real estate and have some property of your own. So those are the top 10 best ways to get a jump start on 2015. Now I'd like to just spend a little bit of time, and we'll go through it very quickly, on the 10 biggest planning mistakes that I've seen made over the years. The first one is just not taking the time to think and create that plan that we talked about. I've talked to many people over the years who have started it but not finished it. Or it's superficial at best, not detailed enough, or the other extreme, sometimes just, again, way too detailed. In order, again, especially if you've been in the business at least 2014, it's a mistake not to take the time to dig out as much information as you can from your past year's data. It's crucial to really understanding how things work. I hazard to guess that most realtors really don't have a clue where their business came from and how to replicate the successes of the previous year and build on them. They really don't. Another big mistake of business planning for everybody is just doing one of those incremental increases. So I want to make 5% more than last year. That's not a goal. That's not specific enough. You want to break down how much money that actually works out to net and how much business that breaks down to as far as listings and buyers. And as we'll do in the plan when we actually go through it, not factoring in a reserve. So you plan on a 20 to 30% more of the activity, because things don't always, every listing you get doesn't sell. Every offer you generate doesn't close. So you build in a reserve or a fudge factor. So that you shoot a little higher, so that knowing that some things will fall out, that you have still will be able to hit your goals. And of course, not knowing the why, and as it says on the screen there, this really should be number one as to why. Why are you doing it? Why are you out there? Why are you forcing yourself to do things that make you uncomfortable or that challenge you? What's the why? Is it for the money? Is it to take care of your family? Is it for the time off, etc.? Just be clear on what your why is. And part of that is not making sure that you plan for you first. You got to take care of you. You're the breadwinner. You're the one needing to get out there in the trenches. So a big mistake is not taking care of you. So that might be your vacation time. It might be whatever, just downtime. Not working 24/7. It will burn you out. And in fact, you will make less money doing that if you don't take care of you. Another mistake is not looking for new opportunities, doing the same old, same old. Things change. I can't tell you how many people have not embraced the new digital technologies and the smartphones and so on. And not planning to leverage yourself. In other words, when you're new, you have to do all the work. But as you start to get a little bit more successful and have a little bit of a budget, you need to leverage yourself. You need to be able to hire people to do the $5 to $10 an hour work. Or you develop partnerships, as I know one of our students in the program is doing, building a team of people that work together to help each other. And of course, another key is not challenging yourself. You want to make sure you challenge yourself. Do a little bit more. Do one more. I mean, the secret to success between a mediocre golfer and a top golfer is probably one stroke. In baseball, it's one more home run. It's not a lot of difference. So you want to make sure that you challenge yourself. You put a little bit more time in. You do something a little bit out of your comfort zone, etc. And the last mistake is simply not making yourself accountable. Again, the gentleman, I should remember his name, but the gentleman in Lindsay who did the 17 contacts a day, he was accountable to that. In fact, as he shared with me, he told his wife that was his goal. And he asked her to ask him every day if he'd hit the number. And he said, the last thing I wanted to do was lie to her or to tell her I didn't hit the 17. So he made himself very accountable by putting that into place. So when you begin your plan, you need to begin by asking some important questions. So, for instance, what one thing can I do better or do to give better service to my clients? So staying in better touch, for instance, doing better marketing job. What can I do to educate myself to be a better business person? Because it's not just about it's not about just about generating the money. It's about keeping the money. It's about paying your taxes on time. That's about being a better business person. So what new skills then do you need to learn, or can you learn? What new person, whether that's a virtual person or a part-time person, who can you add to your team to make it better for your clients? What benefit or thank you can you add to your sphere of influence so that they feel more inclined to give you leads, etc. So once you've answered those questions for yourself, and again, I'm going through these rather quickly. I encourage you to re-watch this webinar after today to go through them again. So anyway, the bottom line is I want you to build a business plan. And some of the benefits of building that business plan is it gives you much clearer vision about how your business works. It gives you control over your business because now you know that by tracking your numbers, you know how many doors you need to knock on, how many flyers you need to put out, how many open houses you need to do in order to generate the numbers you need. So it gives you control. It gives you organization as well. You have that understanding of how your real estate business works and how much time it takes to do the various pieces. So you can incorporate time management as well. So it gives you that and so much more by having a business plan. So looking at some actual forms here as we come a little bit closer to the end, another 5 or 10 minutes I think, and we'll be finished for today. Well, maybe a little bit longer, but not much longer. So on performance standards as well, I forgot to mention that. You can set performance standards for yourself as far as accomplishing things or getting back to people or that sort of idea. So here's the form I was talking about. You need to build yourself, and I give anybody a copy of this that wants it, but build yourself a monthly production forecast. So how many new listings, and you break that down into target. So how many are you targeting? What was the actual, and what did you do the previous year? Same with listings sold, buyers sold, and outgoing referrals. You break that down, your target by month, then you track your actual. This is important because if you're running behind your numbers, your actuals point that out, then you know that you need to up some of your activities as far as prospecting. And you can also determine that, hey, something I'm doing isn't working, and examine why it isn't. See if it can be tweaked, or see if you need to stop doing it. So in order to be effective, you need to have what we call a SMART goal, and I alluded to this a little bit earlier. But SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable. It includes a reward component, and it's time sensitive. So specific, again, it's not I want to make as much money as I can. It's I want to make $150,000 in 2015. I'm going to do that by generating X number of listings and sales per month. That makes it measurable. You keep it attainable so you know that you can actually hit the numbers that you put down. R stands for reward, and that's not necessarily just for you, although taking time off or buying yourself something is a good idea. But really what I'm focused on, what works best for me, is rewarding your family. They're the ones that suffer your absence of not being there because of the time away. They're the ones that fight you on going out on that listing appointment because they'd rather spend time with you. If you set up a reward that says, if I hit these numbers, we're all going to Disneyland, well, then they're going to be, so Dad, how's it going? Mom, are you getting close to your goals? They're going to be interested and supportive rather than fighting you. And of course, time sensitive. Yeah, without a time limit, it's more of a dream than a goal, basically, is what we're going to say. So I'm going to take you through a business plan and show you how it works. This is one of many that are out there. I have access to a couple of them as well that are done by other famous trainers. So if you want some of those, again, just send me a quick text or email and I'll send you what I have, along with the Home Life business plan as well. But here's an example of one that I've used personally over the years. So income goal. So this is fairly old, but I didn't bother changing the numbers because it was too much work. Sorry about that, but it still demonstrates how it works. So an income goal of $100,000. Now there may be many of you in the room or in the webinar today that thinks, well, $100,000 is a good goal. I'm good with that. And some of you want more, but again, this will demonstrate how it works. So let's just say the average sale price in your market is $275, and again in Toronto. Who am I kidding? But for example purposes. So the average commission per side, 2.5% or 5% in total. Again, you'll adjust according to what's real in your market, but for the example it works. So the average commission per side then, based on a $275,000 sale at 2.5%, works out to $6,875. Simple math, B times C. The average associate's commission split, again, that will vary tremendously with what you have, and again, that's low. This is an old example, so it would be 72-28, 72 for the agent, 28 for the brokerage. So the average commission for the sales associate per side, so E times D, so 68.75 times 72% is $49.50. Then you look at the number of closed sides needed to generate your A. So A divided by your average commission. So as you can tell, that's, if we rounded that $49.50 to $5,000, it would be 20 closed sides. So a listing or sale doesn't matter, 20 closed sides. Building in that fudge factor that I talked about, that reserve whatever, let's just say that for whatever reason, 80% of your listings sell and 80% of your offers actually close. So if we multiply G by 80%, that means to ensure you hit your $100,000 goal, you need to generate 25 sides. assuming then that 5 of them will fall apart through the year. So you still hit the 20. Okay, everybody hopefully is with me so far. Then we break it down into listings and sales. So listings under contract needed. So if your goal is 25 sides, I'm going to suggest, and again, this is just an arbitrary thing, a 60-40 split. 60% of your business coming from listings and 40% coming from buyers. If your numbers are different, if you're a buyer agent, obviously they're hugely different. But for the example here, this will work. So 60% of line H is 15. So again, building in that fudge factor, that fall-through factor, let's just say that 70% of your listings sell. Again, I'm putting in the fudge factor so that when things do fall apart, you still hit your goal. If they don't fall apart, you're going to exceed your goal. And that's not a bad thing. So 70% then of line I above is 22. So 22 listings must be taken in order to generate, for 15 of them to close. This next line says marketing presentations needed 3 times J. Again, if you're tracking your own numbers, you know what the real number is. But for the sake of argument, or if you don't have any numbers, just use this. I'm going to say that you need to go on 3 listing appointments, make 3 listing presentations in order to generate a listing. So 3 times J means you need to go on 65 listing presentations. Now, assuming you don't work 52 weeks of the year, that you're smart about it, have time off for education and vacation, etc., then let's just say that you work 46 weeks a year. So 46 weeks then, so marketing presentations per week means 2. So based on 65 presentations that needed to be done and 46 weeks, that means 2 a week. Not an overwhelming number. It just isn't. Come on, you've got 40 to 60 to 80 hours a week to generate 2 listing appointments. Should be attainable. Now, buyers are a little harder to forecast, but let's just go through it anyway. So the remaining 40% of that 100% of line H, so that means you want to develop 10 sides from buyers. I'm going to stick with the same 3 buyers needed in order to generate 1 closed offer. So 30. Same 46 weeks. So buyers needed per week is only 1. Okay, so let's just stop and think about this for a second. Your whole goal for this coming week, if you're following this plan, would be to take action steps that would put you in front of 2 people thinking about selling their house and making a listing presentation, and finding 1 buyer looking to buy something. And again, you've got 40, 60, 80 hours this week in order to accomplish that. Does that really seem overwhelming to you? It shouldn't. I understand it's difficult to get the 2 listing appointments, but think about it. If you were focused, let me rephrase that, and forgive the analogy here, but let's just, because it's in this world, I hate to use it, but it really speaks to the point. If I were to kidnap a family member and say, you're not getting them back unless you brought me a listing this week, and I'm assuming you want them back. If I were to say that, would you be able to do it? Well, of course you would. You would move mountains, because it's not a question of your ability to do it. It's a question of whether you want to do it, whether you're willing to do what it takes to do it. It's absolutely possible to go on 2 listing presentations and capture 1 of those and deal with 1 buyer this week. So now that we've got those numbers, and again, I encourage you, since we went through them fairly quickly, go back and watch this webinar after the fact. So I'm just going to bring up all the numbers. So the 65 at the top there is the number of sides we needed. So I'm just going to bring them all up very quickly because it's taking too much time to go through this. But you can see that your annual presentations per source, you break it down based on what you feel you can do. So, and obviously cold calling may not be on your list. But let's just say for sale by owners is. So you want to make 10 presentations to for sale by owners. Contacts to produce a presentation is 5, so every 5 for sale by owners you talk to will generate an appointment. Annual contacts needed then is 50. If you're working 46 weeks a year, that means you need to talk to and get an appointment. Actually, you need to talk to 1 for sale by owner a week. You see how the numbers aren't overwhelming at all? Now, based on this example here, let's finish bringing these up here. We've got 49 cold calls, 22 door knocks, 1 for sale by owner, 2 expired listings, 20 from your sphere of influence, and 33 in your farm area, which is flyers or whatever. So that's your entire week's work. That's it. I mean, I would suggest that you could do those numbers in a single day if you really wanted to, let alone 5 or 6. Anyway, examine these numbers, think about it. The idea is to build a plan that makes some kind of sense for you. If you have any questions about it after the fact, just let me know. I'm here to help you in any way I can. And so the 10 keys to success, or 10 secrets to success: be committed to your process. So once you've decided on your action steps, be committed to them. Thoroughly research and analyze. Take the long-term approach. It's going to take time to get the momentum going. When you start prospecting, you're not going to get results the first day. It's going to take some time. But after a while, it's like a snowball that just grows and grows and grows. Implement your plan one day at a time. Be totally committed to that implementation, those action steps, like the 17 business cards that I talked about. Totally committed to it and accountable to it so that you know that it's going to happen. Work to your strengths, not on your strengths. Work to your strengths. What are you good at? If you're terrible on the phone, stay off the phone. If you're good in face-to-face, then be face-to-face. You figure it out. Don't worry about your weaknesses because, again, they're always going to be your weaknesses. The best you can do if you work on them is become mediocre at them. It's better to work on your strengths and become outstanding at them. And because you like doing them, that's a doable goal. Take the advantage of your opportunities that are presented to you. Emphasize your areas for improvement, and set your daily schedule around your plan. So those are basically the secrets. So that's it for today. I think I went a little longer than I intended to. Sorry about that, but long-winded sometimes. But this is such an important thing. So again, follow up with me. Send me an email or a text asking for if you have questions about business planning or the sweepstakes ticket, or if you want me to send you a specific business plan. Again, as always, if you're not already following me on Twitter, please do so at HomeLifeUni. That's my contact information. You all have that anyway. That's my text number, 416-733-996. No, it isn't. It's 416-704-5968. 704-5968. That's the office number. And of course, the content and systems and tools detailed herein are the exclusive property of Home Life Realty Services, Inc. Any duplication, dissemination, or reproduction in any manner whatsoever without the express written consent of Home Life Realty Services, Inc. is strictly prohibited and a violation of applicable laws. Sorry, I have to read that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's seminar and got some value from it. Stay in touch, and I look forward to speaking with you all again next Monday and or Tuesday. Bye for now.